And we are live. Welcome, people. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while, but I'm here to answer all your limerence questions for the people in limerence and also the people who do have a spouse that is in limerence. Ask me anything. If you want to put your questions in caps, that would be amazing. Okay. Today we're going to talk about how to not peep online to allow, and allow of course means the limerent object, the person of our obsessive infatuation. Internet stalking. Whether you are in or out of contact, we limerent like to look at them online because it gives us some sort of gratification, there's something satisfying about that. Now we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you a protocol how to stop that behavior, because some of my clients do this not only for months, but they do it for years and they really want to stop. I have my notes with me. And I'm going to read my notes, explain you how to approach this, how you are able to stop this. And meanwhile, I'll sometimes stop and I'll read your questions and I'll answer anything. And also in the end, I'll ask you if you have some more questions for me. If you can let me know if you're there, that would be really great, because my biggest nightmare is to talk to no one because you're all on summer holiday. Okay. Like I said, either you're in or out of contact. We like to look at them, and that is basically online. Okay. Literally, it satisfies our. It's something satisfying. It satisfies our senses. Seeing, thinking, touching, hearing, or talking to a low place with our hormones. Every every sense you use to deal with a low place with your hormones. And I hope by now, I think by now we all know that limerence is having a dysregulated hormonal system. We are addicted to this other person. And I don't mean figuratively, I mean literally addicted. We have the same behavior as an addict and we show the same addictive cycles. We go through the whole addictive cycle, just like any other addiction. So, especially when we are in no contact, it can be quite hard sometimes to not look at them, let's say 500 times per day. I'm over exaggerating, but then again, not really, because some of you really do look at them 500 times per day. And it can be quite hard to not look at them 500 times per day, but we keep the addiction alive if we do that. And of course, we're not really harming anyone, we're not actually stalking them, I hope. We're not killing anyone. So it can look quite innocent, but then again, you're keeping the addiction alive. Um, and also, it can hurt also. It's not so innocent anymore when you do this and you feel a little bit of gratification, but then again, it takes up a lot of time. And also, you feel bad afterwards, because we know, hopefully by now, that's how dopamine works. We feel better for a short moment and then we feel really bad afterwards. So it's not so innocent anymore when it's really painful. And I've heard clients express, I feel better for a second, and then I feel actually worse because I didn't want to do it, and I did it again, and I did it anyway, and I broke my own promise, and I miss them more. So the feelings of missing and longing don't go away. Actually, it increases. Now, doing this for a few weeks when you are in grief is not uncommon. I remember when the mother of my friend died, he stayed in bed for weeks listening only to her voicemail and looking at pictures. That's not uncommon, that's normal in grief. But if you are doing this for a longer period of time, and you don't want to do this anymore, this is harmful to you, then you can use this protocol. I'm going to explain you how to stop this. I have a practical tool for you, and I actually do this with clients, not limerence client, by the way, but people who do self-harm to regulate themselves. If somebody does self-harm themselves and they want to quit, we call it unwanted behavior. This is a protocol for unwanted behavior. So we can use it for anything, nail biting, anything that is behavior and that you don't want anymore. So we're going to use this for not looking at them online. If you have questions, please put them. I don't see anything yet in the chat. So if you can let me know that you're watching, I know you're watching. I'm just going to continue with my notes. Sometimes the chat is a little bit slow. Hi, Andrew K. Hi, thank you. Thank you for watching. Okay. Now, first we're going to have a look at what actually happens. Normally we feel an urge, right? The tension builds up. We proceed with the behavior. We act on the urge and we act out the behavior. We actually do the behavior. And then the tension goes down and we feel some sort of relief. So it's like a little chain. We have the build-up tension. We perform the behavior. I'm missing a hand. I need another little chain here. It's my little chain here. And then we experience relief. So build up tension, doing the behavior, and experiencing the relief on the short term, by the way, not on the long term. On the long term, it always makes things worse. Now, instead of talking hours why we do that and if we should not and why blah blah blah, this protocol has a completely different approach. It slowly breaks the chain. That means that the tension does not correspond with the relief anymore. And if something doesn't give us relief anymore, we simply lose interest as humans. So this goes in a few steps, and you can take notes if you want. And this is not done in 2 days. This can take a few days or maybe even a few weeks. That's totally fine. This is not hard work that we do. We should do this with force and willpower. This is not about as fast as possible. The only thing that is important, that you have to follow the steps. And then it's not a really difficult protocol to follow, but you have to be committed to do the steps and follow the protocol seriously. So first we identify. Step number one. First we identify where we do it. We identify the ritual, because normally we don't really know, but there's a ritual around it. Oh, is it like a chemical reaction that the LO is so often avoidant? Or even maybe at level of borderline personality disorder? I had no idea my LO had these kind of issues, dynamic at the time. Yes, because what people with an avoidant attachment style, narcissist, and people with borderline personality disorder have in common, they're unpredictable. And intermittent, unpredictable rewards on an unpredictable and therefore intermittent scale causes repetition of behavior. That's the whole dynamic of limerence. So to answer your question, Andrew, yes, it's all about the chemical reaction of the limited access and the unpredictable reward. Yeah. Hi, Neskins R. Hi, you're so loyal. Thanks for your work and the issue on this issue and demon for so many. Yes, 3 weeks in no contact, but a low birthday is coming up in a month after 7 years. Is it okay to send a simple birthday wish? Seriously. You know the answer. Of course it's not okay. I mean, you've grown up. I can't tell you what to do. But why would you? If you want to break the chain, if you want to not be an alcoholic anymore, don't drink a little glass of champagne on your birthday. What brings it? What does it bring to you? Seriously, nothing. It's the limerence sitting here whispering you that you should, and maybe it's a really good idea to just wish them a happy birthday. By the way, birthdays are really difficult for people because they feel an extra urge to contact them. If you don't contact them, you reflect back on yourself that you have control and you don't have to wish them a happy birthday. It prolongs the limerence. That's what I'm saying. And you, of course, you can, but it prolongs the limerence. But I'm pretty sure you know this because otherwise you wouldn't ask this. Okay, I'm gonna answer all your questions. Oh, just one more. What is the term for being limerence for a celebrity or a star? It is a parasocial relationship. That's how you call it, parasocial relationship. And actually, the grief is just the same as any other grief. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a spouse slash a very important person or a perceived relationship that's playing out in your head, a celebrity or a situationship or a limerent episode. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference, and that's why the grief is the same, the withdrawal is the same. Even if you never met somebody in real life, the grief is still there, and it's serious. Okay. I'm going to follow with the steps, and then I'll promise I'll get back to your questions. And I'm really happy you're here, by the way, so I don't have to live out my biggest nightmare. Okay, first we identify the ritual, because there is, most of the time, there is some sort of unconscious ritual about this behavior. Where do you do this? Do you do this in your bed, in your couch, in which room? What place do you do this behavior? Where do you look at them online? Number two is, how do you do this? Do you do this on your computer, on your phone, or on your laptop, or maybe all three of them, or maybe sometimes you do it on your phone and other times you do it on your laptop? Number three is, when? What time approximately? Do you do this mostly in the morning, mostly at night, after you wake up, in your lunch break? When do you do this? So you identify the ritual in where, how, and when, and you registrate it. So you registrate for a few days, or maybe even 2 days is enough. You registrate. I did it. For example, I did it 10 times. I looked at them in the morning, especially on my phone, and I did it on the couch. And this gives me the most gratification. The gratification also comes with the ritual, doing your little thing. Okay, step number two. So first we registrate. Number two is, we're going to change the time and the space. We're going to put restrictions on that. So for example, you can do this all day, anywhere you want. It's not forbidden. That's the good thing about this protocol. It's not forbidden. You can do this all day, except between 9 and 10, and not on the couch. For example, you choose the time, take a small part of time, and you're going to put a restriction on that. Okay, I'm going to do this all day except between 9 and 10, for example. I would take 1 hour, or maybe 2, not more. It has to be doable. You shouldn't suffer too much from this. So you put a restriction on the time and also on the place. Normally I do it on the left side of the couch. Now the left side of the couch is forbidden, and I can do it anywhere else in the world, but not on the left side of the couch. That is step number 2. You can make it challenging, but not too much. It should be easy to follow. Okay. Then you widen it. After a few days, or 1 day or 2 days, and you say, okay, that's not so bad. You widen it. You widen the time range, and you widen the place where it's forbidden to do this, if that worked. Okay. You take away, when you do this, you take away the gratification, and it's all about the gratification. When the ritual is not really the same anymore, the gratification goes down, and we simply lose interest. Okay, step number 3. Again, you can do this for 3-4 times, however, how much you want it. You change the time and the place, you widen the range, and then, new step, you have to do something afterwards. And this has to be a chore. a positive chore for yourself or for the other, for someone else. It has to be a positive chore. You cannot this is not about punishing yourself. That doesn't work. It has to be a positive chore for yourself or somebody else. And in any case, we humans hate chores. So even if it's a positive chore, we hate it anyway. So it works kind of the same as a punishment, but we don't want to use punishment. For example, okay, when I looked at them online, I'm going to walk the dog of my neighbor, or I'm going to do the dishes, or I'm going to clean up my room. It has to be a positive, but a chore nonetheless. Okay, we do that. Meanwhile, we can choose to widen the range in the time and the space. We add the positive chore afterwards, and then we follow the last step. And you can decide when you want to implement the last step. We buy an entry ticket. So before you decide that you're gonna do this behavior, before you decide that you're gonna stalk them online and look at their pictures for an hour, or look at them on Facebook or whatever, you buy an entry ticket. That means that you also have to pick something from the chore. You do it, then you follow your own time and space rules, and then you have to do the chore afterwards. And you do this for however long this takes, because you will see that the instant gratification that you normally would get from looking at them online is gone, and the relief is not there anymore. The tension does not correspond with the behavior anymore. So basically, that's it. It's no struggle. It's not restraining yourself. It's not forbid yourself. You can do this, but not in the time and the space that you you made a deal with yourself, basically, that you made as a restriction, and you follow the steps in doing the chores before and afterwards. And like I said, you slowly break the chain of the gratification. So I really hope that you took some notes, and also of course you can watch back my video to write down the steps. And this is a really effective protocol to stop some behavior that you do but you actually don't want to do. Okay, having said that, I'm all yours. I'm all yours to ask or to answer all your questions, because I love to answer your questions. I'm peeping at my monitor here. Is limerent and affair folk the same, or do they have similarities? Absolutely freaking yes. Affairs normally are limerent because obviously there are obstacles, because at least one of you is married, one of them is married, and sometimes you both are married, so that's even two obstacles. And you create this by the limited access to the other, and the nervous system not being able to form a defined, safe bond with the other person. So you have the limited access, and yes, that creates the intensity of an affair. And affairs are in common, they are limerent, absolutely. Yes. Hi, greetings from New York. Hope to come back there again. How often have you seen a limerent leave their family, divorce their spouse, and marry alone? How does this typically work out for the marriage? It doesn't. I talk to a lot of spouses. Maybe because this is a really bad situation to be in, but also there is some information online about what to do if your spouse is in limerence, but it's so painful. I see quite some people who leave thinking that they met their soulmate, because the strongness of their feeling, which is caused by the intermittent reward, by the way, they of course take the strongness of their feelings as proof that they met the soulmate, and in order to be happy with this which is counterfactual thinking, in order to be happy, they have to be with this person, and then they will be happy, which is absolutely not true. But of course, they don't know that because limerence think in short term. They think with their feelings or addiction, basically. So yes, I see that quite often. I wouldn't say marry, but at least consider and seriously consider and also move out. To be, of course, sometimes under the name of, yeah, but we need some time in our marriage, but secretly they want to be with their LO, and they're moving toward their LO, and they're removing the obstacles. The ads or the ads, the stats are against them. I think it's only not even 2% that it's 75% actually that doesn't end up in a marriage. And when they do end up in a marriage, when this starts as an LO, as a limerent affair, I think it's only 2% that is long term or forever. So it's basically it's second to none actually. And there are so many reasons, and I'll do a video about that if you want. I did some videos about that, by the way. There are so many reasons why this is not lasting on the long term. So to long answer short, yes, I see a lot of people leaving their family, wanting to divorce and be with LO, and then sometimes afterwards massively regret that because the grass wasn't that green on the other side of the limerent episode. How do these steps work? Not online, for example. I know when and where LO drinks coffee, so I feel the need to go there just to look at them. I can't just not go there. Yeah, you can. You can amplify the same step. There's a ritual around that. If you stand on the same place, stand in a different place. If you go there every morning at 1, go at 1:15. Mix up the ritual and put the time and the place, put obstacles between it, so the gratification is not there anymore. And you can be creative. You can think of things that will frustrate the gratification or postpone the gratification. um, I like your question. I could come up with a plan, I think quite easily, to just put some frustration in your ritual, but obviously I don't have the time. But be creative. How can you frustrate the gratification and implement those steps? Hi Fenna, what happens when a limerent partner meets a narcissist? Greetings from Utrecht. Hoi, hoi, hoi. Ja, dat wordt een puinhoop. It's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of mess, of course. Why people are so drawn, well, let me rephrase that. Why so many limerent affairs or limerents are drawn to narcissists is because, not even, okay, I'm gonna say this sentence again. Why there are so many limerent situations dealing with a narcissist is because of the unpredictableness of narcissism. Narcissists are the classic example of people who can burst out in a rage, narcissistic rage, and then throw you in a honeymoon phase, and then be really charming, and then again be very unpredictable, and then angry, and then nice. So that's why narcissism, dealing with a narcissist, can make you more vulnerable or can spike up a limerent episode. Well, normally, being with a narcissist, if that's with a limerent or not, and I'm not saying that because I don't like narcissists. I don't know, every narcissist is different, but being in a romantic relationship with a narcissist is just really, really hard. And you can even question if it can be done. So that's not going to play out very well, Valentino. They make it look so perfect, and then they are so happy. Our marriage was not that bad. Angela, better than he, I assume it's a he, than they know how your marriage was. Because in crystallization, their marriage looks bad. But you were there. You know if the marriage was that bad as they make it seem now. And don't be fooled, because the honeymoon phase doesn't last forever. But I understand you're in pain. I understand that. I wonder what percent of limerence have been in LO. That's a good question, because people who are in limerence, who are vulnerable for limerence, do have in general some attachment wounds. That means they have their own trauma or there's trauma running around in their family history. But so do LOs. LOs are in general people who have attachment wounds. Um, so yeah, it can be vice versa. It depends a little bit on your boundary. If depends also. Um, I don't know. I never looked it up. It's a good question. I'll look it up one day. Thanks, Ben. I'm not sure you're aware how helpful is your presence and your advice are people stuck in this emotional twister. Well, thank you. I get a lot of gratitude, I must say, and sometimes it's lonely to talk in front of a camera, and I have no idea that if anyone is ever watching. But if I do talk to people or people write me, they always express their gratitude. So thank you again for mentioning this. How do I tell her LO is using her, Bryce? Can you give me a little bit more context? Um, who is her? Who is she? Do you mean your partner, your spouse? Does she have an LO and has an LO and he is using her? If this is the case, of course you can explain them about limerence. You can express, hey, you might want to look up limerence, but they have to mentalize it, meaning that they have to come up with thinking on their own, maybe I do have limerence, because they don't want to hear it from you. They don't want to be the rule, they want to be the exception. And actually, they did meet their soulmate and they're going to be happy forever in the future. That's what they want to think. They don't want to hear, oh, this is actually has a name and it's kind of predictable. And people wrote books about this. This is called limerence. And, you're not the exception, you're actually the rule. And you're going to deteriorate this relationship and you're going to end up with nothing. I mean, no one wants to hear that, especially not from you, because they don't want to be with, in an argument about their feelings with you. So yes, I would recommend telling your partner, hey, there's this thing I saw online, it's called limerence. Why don't you have a look? Because I think you have that. And then they have to mentalize and acknowledge that on their own. That's a loaded question, limerence with a narcissist. Yeah. A vulture came in when my partner was vulnerable. Yes, normally there is something that opens the door to limerence. If you look at the hierarchy of limerence, is the vulnerability is when is there when we're younger. Either we have our own trauma or we have inherited trauma, and that manifests as having ADHD, alcoholism, or depression running around in a family history. It makes us more vulnerable for the hormones that play a big role in limerence. So we have the vulnerability already there. Then the circumstances play a really big role, and I can't express this enough. The circumstances can be either you lost someone a few years prior, approximately 2 years, to the beginning of the limerent episode, or there is unsatisfaction. That can be sexual unsatisfaction in your relationship, or you have a lack of social contact, or you had a life event, and that can open the door. Then you meet the wrong person, not the right person. You meet the wrong person who has attachment issues or trauma themselves, and then you have the perfect, it's not so perfect, but as a matter of speech, you have the perfect ingredients for a horrific limerent episode. So yes, when we are vulnerable, something happens, or there is unsatisfaction, we have unfulfilled needs, then we open the door towards a limerent episode. Okay. Um, What timeline do you use for a typical length of limerence? 3 to 48 months. No, that depends. It's a little bit a misunderstanding that limerence lasts between few months and 3 years. Now, being in love, which limerence basically is on steroids, multiplied by thousands, being in love gone wrong. Last between a few months and 3 years. Nature has a really good plan with that because 3 years is enough to form a strong bond and have a baby. But that means that's only when you form a couple. When you don't form a couple, when you don't form a safe bond with when you don't pair bond with the other, you can be in limerent for 10, 20, 30 years. I have clients who are in limerence for 20 years. You can keep an addiction. An addiction doesn't really go away by its own, on its own. So don't expect the limerence for just to disappear when you stay in contact and you keep looking at them online and you do everything to keep the limerence alive and feed a little monster and you're still in contact and you're still in hope and you still want to be with a low, even though you're not. You can be in limerence forever, and that's not really hopeful. But don't expect by doing nothing the limerence will fade, because the 3 year, I would call it myth almost, is when you form a couple with your with the other. Valentina, I was in great relation with a girl. Now she is in a limerent and her allo is a player, and she said he has changed. Oh, she ended the affair 3 times. Every time he comes back, and she is too blind to see. Oh, I'm so sorry, Valentino, that this happens. I speak to so many people who say, my spouse, who is a nice person, people in addiction are not bad people. They're addicted, so their behavior change. And it's bad to be around them. Who say, my spouse used to be a really nice person, and the person they fell in love with, their LO, they're horrible. They're horrible. They're not even nice. And they don't see it. They only see the good or the broken or the I can fix this. It's the addiction. You can be addicted to a really bad person. You can even tell yourself, this is a bad person. But if your hormones are depending on contact with that person, it doesn't really matter if that's a bad person. Well, the more reasons to go no contact, of course. But the hormones don't really care if your LO is a smuck or a-hole. I'm not allowed to swear, unfortunately. Your hormones don't care. And I see a lot, like I said, well, I'm repeating myself, but a lot of people say, I cannot believe that my partner left off with this guy. Seriously. And that's why people get so low self-esteem if they are in a marriage and, of course, their partner is leaving for somebody that, they would never, ever thought that the partner would be in love with. But like I said, dysregulated hormones don't care. They just see intermittent reward, and you can get addicted to anyone, basically. Okay. If you have more questions, please write them now, because I'm gonna wrap this up. If you have more questions, yep. Is being in therapy and talking again and again about LO really good? It feels like being in contact instead of no contact. Good question. What I sometimes notice is that people talk to me about their LO they want to talk to me about their LO for hours, and I interrupt them. I'm like, I don't care. It's a boring subject, by the way, and I don't care about talking about your LO over and over and over again. We can discuss how you can end this and what you should do actually, and why it's harmful and what it does to you. But I'm not going to sit here and listen how great LO is for 45 minutes. Yes, I agree. Being in therapy, it depends a little bit on what you work on. If you work on your attachment issues, of course, you can be in therapy. But talking about LO over and over and over again, up to a point that you think, maybe this is not really helping me, you're allowed to stop. Of course, you're allowed to stop. If you Take a look at yourself and you say, maybe this is feeding my limerence instead of helping my limerence. You're allowed to take it down a notch and not talk about aloe so much. I decided, well, it's not like I talked about aloe for forever, but I decided at one point I was not going to discuss anymore because, this chapter has to go. I need to, you know, give my brain new information, new experiences, create new memories. So I stopped to talk about aloe for a while. Or not for a while, after a while. So, yes, wrong planet. If you think this is not really serving me anymore, by all means, take it down or stop to talk about aloe. Yes. I forget the original intent for your channel. Was it passion fatigue? I don't know what passion fatigue is. It sounds horrible, though great. I was already a therapist, and I was already a counselor, and I was already a coach. And then I discovered limerence because I became limerent myself, and it was the most horrific thing I ever experienced. And I saw, 10 years ago, there was nothing online except maybe marriage helper. That was it. And I thought, okay, this is not this. If I have this, more people have this, and this is something that should be addressed. And people are devastated when they have this. People will commit suicide. They will leave families. Really destructive things happen when you are in a limerent episode / addiction. But there was so little awareness, so that's why I'm here to create awareness. I am in no contact, but she is still reaching out. What to do? I think you know what to do. Instruct them. Instruct them. You can be respectful. Hey, I know, write them a short message. Hey, I noticed that this contact that we have is really not serving me anymore. This is really unhealthy for me. I'm going to stop this contact, and I ask you to respect this and not contact me anymore. I wish you the best. Short, simple, and clean and clear. That's what you should do. That's the most healthy option. You give them instructions what to do and what not to do, and you also put a little threshold in contacting them because you promised not to contact them again. And you don't want to break your own promise, at least not more than once, and look like, I don't know, someone who breaks their promise. That's what you should do. You're welcome, Wrong Planets. Does the twin flame tarot, etc. world make you angry, Fana? I got sucked into that for many times now. I got sucked in that for a time. Now I see it as toxic and manipulative. Well, I can't really, maybe people who are into tarot cards have good intentions, and maybe people who put how to get your ex back videos on YouTube, I'm sure they all have, and there are millions. I'm sure of that they have good intentions, but they are not aware of the harm they're doing because they're not aware of limerence. This is not their audience. This is maybe, hopefully not their target audience. Does it anger me? Not really. I just advise people, please don't go in that trap. Don't go in the trap of the magical dissociative thinking, because you're keeping yourself in hope, and you're holding on to every little straw, and you're only prolonging the addiction and prolonging the hope with the tarot cards and the law of attraction and the YouTube videos on how to get your ex back or how to deal with an avoidant. Please never deal with an avoidant. Stop watching those videos, please. If you're going to take on one thing, maybe that's a good thing also. Stop watching. You can use the same protocol, the videos online on how to deal with an avoidant, because you can't deal with an avoidant. And there are so many people in the world who are not avoidant, and they're less hard work. Okay. You talk about limerence being so terrible, but they stay. I don't understand. Is it because of the addiction to dopamine? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. We're not the first and the last person who say, I really hate my addiction, but here we go again. That's the whole point of an addiction. You feel really bad when you don't do it. And you feel bad in general. But you have to, in order to not have the withdrawal symptoms, you keep doing it. And of course, what's also really tricky is limerence feels really good in the beginning. Limerence always feels great in the beginning. That's what the brain remembers, because the brain always remembers the source of dopamine, and then it uses the experience as a prediction of getting the dopamine in the future. So the brain basically thinks, hey, this person used to give me a lot of dopamine. If I continue to see this person in the future, I'll be guaranteed to get a lot of dopamine. You get it? You get how sneaky and how inventive and how amazing the brain works to predict what we get in the future from past experience. That's why limerence is so hard to break, because there is so much hope. We want to feel that great again, because it does feel great in the beginning. Let's be honest, it does feel great. We're so energetic. Okay. I found your videos, hi Bryce, by accident. You are very helpful, and I refuse to give up because of you. Thank you so much. Oh, that makes my day. Really, that makes my day. Please don't give up, because you will kiss yourself when you are out of the limerent fog. Okay, people. Yes, I can confirm that I want the feeling that I had in the beginning. That goes for all addicts. That is one of the symptoms of addiction. It feels really great in the beginning, and it gives you something. It gives you energy. It gives you, I don't know, self-esteem, whatever, feeling alive, feeling young, feeling renewed. But dopamine is a scale, and if you push too long on the pleasure side, the pain side will automatically come up. That's how dopamine works. You're the dope in my dopamine. Let's make a t-shirt out of this. Okay, last one. I found the best way to balance your limerent partner hormone is befriend your limerent partner. Okay, I found the best way to balance your limerent partner's hormones is befriend your limerent partner. I don't really understand that. Hi, Dana. I don't really understand this. Can you explain this a little bit? The best way to balance your limerent partner's hormones is to befriend your limerent partner. Aren't you already friends with your partner? Maybe I don't really understand the question. If you want to explain a little bit, I will. Maybe I don't read it right. I don't know. Last question, anyone? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to thank you so much. Really, I love doing this, and I'm going to do this more often. I took a little summer holiday, let's say for a few months, but I'm going to be back. Oh, yeah. And sometimes, yes, and sometimes you've got to go back to being friends. Okay, you mean with your partner? That you want to befriend your limerent partner? Is that what you mean? Because I'm kind of with your partner. I always have two different advice. If your partner is saying, okay, I'm a limerent, but I want to stay, then you befriend them. Yes. Then you have to have the patience. You support them. Doesn't mean that you're gonna put all your energy in them, because you have to take care of yourself in any case. But if your partner is removing themselves, is moving out, is packing their suitcase, is not being really appreciative of you in the marriage, and they're removing themselves, then you back off. You're not going to be their go-to person unless they want to have a serious talk about reconciliation and about building up the marriage again. That's my advice. And for now, I want to thank you for watching this live chat, and I'm going to be here next week. Write me which subject you want me to talk about. Bye guys.